so many people that just default to a job and how much that job pays. And it's like, dude, you can walk a dog, make a specimen donation,
a personal contribution,
remove some junk,
yeah,
and make $500 this month without batting an eye.
Welcome to the Rich and Regular podcast, where we explore life at the intersection of money. I'm Kirsten.
And I'm Julian. And today we're talking about some weird ways to make a little extra money.
Unusual.
Weird,
or maybe not so unusual.
Less common, unusual, whatever you want to call it. But first, I want to give a shout out to Ashley R. from our Spotify family, who left a comment on our Getting Paid to Move episode. That was episode 209. She said, "Excellent episode. Thanks for the key words to search and critical considerations."
See, Ashley is a woman with a plan.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
She's an actionable woman.
Searching. Yes. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Thank you for telling me what to search for. No, we are happy you listened to it, and shout out to everybody that's been supporting the podcast. Keep it up. I know we normally save it for the end, but we need those reviews. We want those reviews. And so be generous, be kind.
We're so close to hitting 500 on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, really?
I mean, we're at like 445. You know, I've had this goal of 500 for like 2 years now.
Okay.
So I think we can hit it this year.
Okay.
Assuming we get like 2 a week, 3 a week for the rest of the year.
It's surprisingly harder than you think, y'all.
It is very hard.
So, you know, we need it. Rate, reviews. They are a lot harder than you think. So, hey, keep them coming. Let's jump into this. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. You know, I normally get triggered by things. And what happens is I have the idea for a podcast that I want to do. And sometimes it's either too big, too small. I let it stew. And then I'm watching something or something happens and then I'm triggered. And in this case, it was a couple of things. I'll just name one. I've been watching The Pit on HBO Max, which is like a crazy medical drama. One of those, I forget what they call it, but like it's like shot in one sequence. Like there's no cuts. Like it's super immersive, makes you feel like you're actually in the emergency room.
Stressful.
Yeah, stressful. Intense is what we prefer to call it.
Julian likes stressful shows.
Anyway, I'm watching it and there was a particular episode, I'm not going to give it away, but there was something happened in one of those episodes and I was like, that's a whole thing. Like I'm just reminded, right, that is a whole thing, that people do that it is a problem, that it is a need. And so it just reminded me to refresh my notes and to go back and think about all of the weird ways. And I'm calling it weird to be a little tongue in cheek, but I mean, it's unusual ways. It's overlooked is probably another adjective that can be used to describe it. But at the end of the day, like these are tough times for a lot of people. I feel like I'm being a little bit reserved, and I'll say this as well because there's a particular colleague, friend / viewer, listener, and I don't even think you know this. Few months ago, I saw him post something, and this is a guy that I'm not going to get into the details, but dude is busy. Like he's got a busy job, but he is a tinkerer. He loves to like just get in there and he's always doing something. You can't never just sit still. You know what I mean? And he was posting about, he was about to, in addition to his day job and in addition to like, he's got like maybe 2 or 3 other like side hustles that he does in addition to being married and having children. And he posted that he was looking into getting an evening job being a cashier. And then he was like crunching the math and talking about what he was going to do to like make a couple extra $100 a month. And I was respectfully triggered because I was like, you're going to have a heart attack. Like, you know, like this is how it happens. Like you're working way, way, way too hard. But like for a couple extra $100, like we're about to go through a long list of things that you could do to actually help you make a couple extra $100 that do not require you to get a evening job on top of your really stressful day job. And so all of that to say, there are several things that triggered me to say, you know what, let me see, like, am I just giving these unusual, weird ways a little bit too much credit? Come to find out, you can actually make some good money doing some of these things. And so, we're going to get into it.
Yeah. One of the episodes we did recently was about decision-making as a business owner or as a self-employed person. And decision-making as a self-employed person in the container of a business is very different than how do I make some money because I need it real quick. And I'm in a moms group with a lot of moms in our neighborhood who are frequently in situations where they need to make money quickly.
Yeah.
And a lot of these scenarios that we're about to go through on this episode are viable scenarios in a lot of neighborhoods. Now, it is going to depend on your market. It's going to depend on where you live and seasonality. But don't think for a second that this doesn't exist somewhere near you, because it usually does. And it usually is as simple as just kind of going out and doing it. All right, so let's get started.
All right.
First up,
number one,
plasma donation. So plasma donation is basically where you sell part of your blood legally. It sounds illegal.
Okay, so I feel like let's just give a disclaimer. We said unusual, right? We said less common, overlook, all of those things. So we're going to, if there's a kid listening, so, just know that there's going to be some complicated language likely used throughout this episode. But we're starting straight with blood. Sell your blood.
So specifically the plasma. You donate your blood. You sell your plasma. So plasma is rich in antibodies and proteins. So they use it for life-saving treatments. And you get paid anywhere between $20 and $50 a pop. And you can usually donate a couple of times a week, which could add up to be a few $100 a month.
Easy. And I'm saying that, right? Like, I get that there's some people who are cringed out by needles, and there are some people who have maybe unique health situations. This is not for you. I totally get it. But for everybody else, it's a very simple and easy way to make some quick money. And to your point, it's something that you can do pretty regularly. Like, there are tons of people who do it regularly, and they're not all doing it because they really, really need the money. Like, it's backstory, personal reasons, blah, blah, blah. A couple of things to keep in mind if you're interested in doing this. You can't just roll up and, give blood and cash out. Like, requirements that need to be met. You need to be healthy, using air quotes here, healthy, and they will determine that. You will go through some kind of qualification process. You have to be over 18. You have to weigh at least 110 pounds and pretty much have a spotless, dare I say, boring medical history. And obviously, like, there's less value if you've got a bunch of stuff going on. It's like, all right, well, you know what? Keep your blood and
your plasma.
Keep your plasma, excuse me. A couple other interesting things. No recent tattoos, right? Like, that could, I would imagine, potentially lead to some type of infection. If you have traveled to a malaria zone recently, then obviously that would disqualify you. Also, the first visit, from what we found, it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. And then after that, it's something that you can really just pop in. Like, this is what I have known as I was thinking about it and preparing for this podcast. It was like, I knew people who would just casually like pop in. Oh yeah, well, I normally do it anytime I'm heading to this side of town because I know this is over there, and I do that, and then I use that to do this. It's like, wow, it never crossed my mind. I think I've given blood once, and I don't know we're talking about plasma, but like, I think I've given it once, and I remember feeling a little woozy, a little weird afterwards. Like, wow. And I think there's also just a visual of seeing how much. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like, I feel like I just got drained. No, thank you. But look, this is something that you can do, and sort of add throughout your year, your month, whatever it is, whatever works for you. If you're not the kind of person that feels kind of freaked out by that or feels odd or dizzy or lethargic, this is a very quick and easy way to make some money.
And there's actually a strategy involved. I learned that plasma centers tend to offer bonuses around the holidays. They're trying to ramp up collection periods during the cold flu season, which means that donations are down because people are sick and you can't sell if you have any visible cold or flu symptoms. But demand for plasma goes way up during the holiday season, presumably because people are unwell. So some places even offer higher payouts for first-time donors or back-to-back sessions. There are some sites like CSL Plasma and Octafarmer, which have loyalty-style rewards. So you can earn, like, it's not frequent flyer miles, but like points for your plasma.
I'm really going to try not to laugh during this episode.
You can get referral bonuses up to $100 if you bring a friend, and timing matters. So midweek or bad weather days are days where the wait is usually shorter. So if you're trying to pop in during a lunch break kind of thing, try to aim for those, times. I get it. I get why people could play this. Like, some people like parlays and fantasy football, and other people are just chasing peak antibody season. You can get $50 a pop.
It is a market.
And I think I read, I'll fact check this before I publish it, but I think I read that the United States provides the most plasma across the globe because we pay for it. Everywhere else is looking for volunteers versus the United States, which uses money as an incentive to get people to donate their plasma or to sell their plasma. And because of that, we have this supply that we can provide to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So even if you're feeling a little icky about it, Just know that it's humanitarian and generous in its intent, regardless of how it comes off.
Yeah.
All right, next up, decluttering and junk removal. So basically you help people clean out their garages, their basements, their entire homes, and then you get paid to haul the stuff away. So it is physical work. As someone who has used a junk hauler before, jobs can range from $50 for a quick pickup if you're within range to $500 or more for a full clean out. So it depends. And I think here's the part that no one talks about to me. Sometimes the junk could be valuable.
Sure.
If you're willing to sort through it, you can flip things on Facebook Marketplace or connect with resellers and thrifters. It's one of those hustles where you get paid once for the labor and then maybe twice if you know the right people.
Yeah.
I remember our guy, I don't want to call him our junk guy, but when we would give him things that we needed to be tossed because either Goodwill wouldn't take them, we couldn't find someone in the Buy Nothing group, he would ask, like, are you good if I just keep this? Or do you mind if I take this? And I'd be like, I don't care.
I just need it out.
I just need it out of my house. So it definitely is a thing. You do need a way to haul off the stuff. You need a trailer or a pickup. Like I wouldn't suggest putting this in the back of your Camry or your Kia. And then you might have to pay like a local dumpster fee to get rid of it and follow all of their rules. Like if it's paint, there's probably a different place where you have to drop it off versus glass, whatever it is. But it's a chance to really physically reset people's places and learn more about people's stuff. Like it could be gross, but it could also be cool.
I went to our local dump once or twice this year, and you could kind of look at all of the different vehicles and kind of tell what was happening. Like this person was moving, but you certainly saw your fair share of people who were junk removers or junk removal companies. And I thought it just made perfect sense, especially if it's like on the way home or something like that. Like it just seemed like a great way to make a little extra money. On top of that, I would say you can rent some of the equipment and just hitch it to the back of your van, right? So if you just want to start small and you have an SUV, you can rent or buy one of those sort of hitched wagon situations and use that as a way to get yourself started. But I'll give you a couple of the pros. One, it's a great physical workout for sure.
That's true.
Right? Like you're definitely going to be working and moving. And you mentioned other ways that you might be able to sell some of the product. Obviously, if you think about pawn shops and like having relationships with those people, like that's pretty common. Like that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there are tons of pawn shops that you can go to and you will find all kinds of stuff in there. One of the other things that I don't think a lot of people think about is how surprisingly convenient it can all be, especially when you think about seniors. So seniors as a whole are just completely underserved. So imagine a world where you have identified 1, 2, and they tend to be clustered together. But like if you're the guy, if you're the single point of contact that manages the junk removal for this collection of places and you put something up on a bulletin board, I can assure you somebody's going to call you. And once you get that good recommendation, they're going to pass that on to whoever else that they're playing with, in the lobby. And like, it just sort of goes from there. And then on top of that, some people even tip. You know what I mean? So it's a really, really great way to make some money. The pricing is up to you. What do we charge our remover? I mean, I think it was really affordable. It was like $75 minimum or something like that.
Yes. So our hauler has a $75 minimum. So in our case, when we didn't have $75 worth of stuff, we would just ask our neighbors, like, you want to get in on this?
Right.
Because it's going to cost me $75 anyway.
All right. So that's junk removal. Here's your disclaimer. If there's kids around, now's the time to press pause or go ahead and tell them to put the earmuffs on, go in the other room. The third one is sperm donations. I don't know anyone that's ever done this, actually. Do you?
I'm sure I do. It's not something
but
that
you
people
don't know
just
for a
talk
fact.
about.
Yeah. I
Certainly not with me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
But this is very much a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is in high demand, especially now. Like, there's literally news and all kinds of like incentives that the government are giving for the purposes of trying to boost the U.S. population. But again, because there are health risks involved with this, obviously there are some eligibility requirements. So you just want to be mindful of that. Compensation. You can expect to be paid anywhere from $50 to $150. And very similar to plasma donations, you can do this pretty regularly. I would imagine you can do this very regularly. Like there's no impact to your physical health whatsoever. And so I certainly believe that this is something that a lot of people should be thinking about, as odd as that might seem. But like, you need some quick money.
Listen,
Here's a great way to do it.
It may sound odd, but for some people, it's a really meaningful contribution. And the compensation range is going to be based on quality, quantity, and the qualifications of the donor. One of my college classmates, Ebony K. Williams, just went through this process where she had a baby as a solo parent. And she used a sperm donor, and she talked about all of the ways that she vetted them. She picked someone who was like a valedictorian, someone who had this, that, and the other. Like, I didn't know the profile was so detailed.
I didn't either.
But it is like Tinder, but just for the,
and there is a value placed on it, right? Like, if you are someone that, if that's what somebody is looking for, and you are of a certain height and certain build and certain academic achievement and all those kinds of things, like, that is, whether you like it or not, going to be valued higher than someone who does not have those things. And so it is a way to make money. Like this, welcome to America, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you're a woman, the equivalent is egg donation, but the commitment is way bigger. We're talking about hormone injections, egg retrieval surgery, multiple doctor's visits. And because of that, the payout is actually way higher, usually between $5,000 and $10,000 per cycle. But there are similar requirements. So again, they're looking at health, genetics. Sometimes they're looking at education level. Some programs may pay more based on demand. So it's not a flat rate, but it is a much bigger range. There's also surrogacy, which is basically the highest commitment version of all of this.
Yeah.
You're carrying a child for someone else, often for a year or more, if you include all of the prep and the recovery and all of the other things that come with getting pregnant with someone else's egg and sperm, with someone else's, fertilized seed.
Yeah.
I'm running out of ways to describe this. But because of that, the compensation is even higher than egg retrieval. We're talking anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 plus medical and legal support. And so that's all kind of baked into that agreement. Now, I will say it is one of the most intimate forms of labor out there, and we mean that quite literally. Depending on your values and your circumstances, it's either completely off the table or it's, again, one of the most life-changing gifts that you can give and still get paid for.
Yeah.
And so it really depends on how you're looking at it. I know women who have been surrogates before, and they love it. They love it. And I know moms who have used surrogates to carry their babies, and the connection they have with the child and with the surrogate is incredible to watch. Like, it's really fascinating how humans and genes and biology kind of fuse together to create these connections. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's really fascinating to see this blend of like science and humanity.
And capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. All right. Moving on to something that does not require muting with children around, dog walking. If you've ever watched CNBC make it, they talk about this. It's one of those weird ways. And actually, I wouldn't even say weird ways, but I think people who are not pet people underestimate that there's a whole world and an economy based around pets. And one of the biggest problems that people have is not having the time to actually care for their pets the way that they want to.
It's no different than children.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is people who aren't pet people don't realize that. I remember us recommending this to my mom. Like, this is something as a senior, like you love walking, you love dogs. Why not get paid to walk dogs? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And again, you take advantage of your own sort of convenience based on the environment and the community that she lives in. Now, providing care for pets, including walking dogs, this also like extend to feeding them and just playing with them and keeping them exercised. All of that in some cases can be kind of rolled into that experience, but it just kind of depends on whatever it is that you've negotiated with someone. The earnings vary. So based on where you are, based on how frequently you're doing it, based on how long the actual walk is, the type of pet care that you are offering that particular dog owner. But it can range from $15 to $30 per dog walk, or $25 to $75 per day or night if we're looking at actual pet sitting. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that I know a lot of pet owners would just love. because that's better than, trying to see where their dog is based on the camera. Like they
or
know,
put them in like a kennel with dogs that they don't know.
which in many cases, right. They also have bad reputations, some of them. And so you'd rather not risk that versus knowing that your neighbor, someone that already has a relationship with the dog, can actually care for them while you're away. And again, it's a great way to make a little bit of money. That's what this is about.
It is. Fun fact, this was actually my first paying gig as a childpreneur.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When I was a little kid. We lived next door to a couple who were empty nesters and they had 5 cats. So in hindsight, she was probably a cat lady. But her and her husband had 5 cats, and the husband was a golfer, and they would go on these tournaments, these week-long tournaments to Florida or wherever the golf courses were. And I would be responsible for feeding the cats. This was an easy way for me to earn like 60, 70 bucks as a kid. I was probably 9. That was a lot of money to me at the time. Yes, like I loved it. It's one of those gigs if you love animals, or even if you don't love animals, but if you like them enough to care about them and your schedule is open, you can stack appointments so that you can really make this very lucrative. Plus, there's not really a lot of paperwork depending on how you go through finding your clients. There is if you go through an app, which I'll talk about in a second. But there's no needles. There's no awkward medical screenings. There's no, lifting junk. It's just you, a leash, and these neighborhood animals sometimes that are, hungry or feisty. Now, there are apps like Rover and Wag, which make it easy to get started, but they do take a cut. So they're going to take like 20% of whatever you earn.
Yep.
You can also go the old school route, which is posting flyers, asking around at local dog parks, hitting up your neighborhood Facebook group. Pet parents talk. So if you're looking for something to do, find a pet parent who is involved with other pet parents and see if they know somebody who might be looking for this service. You just have to know what you're signing up for. Like some dogs are chill.
Some dogs got attitude problems.
Others are, tiny little chaos agents.
Feisty.
Yeah. And you might have to manage multiple personalities on one walk. You might have to administer medication. You might have to deal with separation anxiety. You're not just walking dogs. You're kind of like doggy HR, like your doggy daycare for this parent.
Yeah. And you may not know that the dog that you're walking has beef with the dog that lives in the house that you're walking past. And
or hates red cars. Or freaks out if there's a fire truck.
Those things, and it could lead to some situations. So it certainly is something that you need to take seriously. All right. Moving on. This one seems so obvious, but I do think that a lot of people are likely overlooking it. And it is being an English tutor. Now, when I say being an English tutor or teaching English, a lot of people think, well, I didn't go to school to study English, or I'm not an educator. I didn't say be an English professor or be an English educator. I said be an English tutor, which is something that you can do most likely as someone who speaks English. There is a marketplace for that. And I also think that a lot of people think that that's only relevant for people who want to, let's say, move abroad and teach English in Thailand or China or in Latin American countries. Like you can literally teach English at at local schools where you are. Like there are tons of immigrants here who want to be taught and or tutored. And not only that, it can be done in person and or online. Like it is such a simple way to do it. It's typically done with an hourly rate, and the range is anywhere from $15 to $40 plus dollars an hour, just kind of depending on your qualifications and your experience. Very similar to some of the other examples that we've mentioned, there are different platforms that you can sign up on to help find your clients, or you can just do it old school and just kind of build your client base on your own. But it is a great way to make a little extra money doing something that you literally know how to do pretty well.
Yeah, this is especially strong for people who already enjoy coaching or mentoring or teaching, because long-term clients can turn this into a recurring income pretty easily. Now, there are some platforms that require a college degree or some certification or some credentialing. So it depends on what you're signing up. And you also have to keep in mind that competition can be high on large platforms. So any reviews or consistency that you can offer helps. Flexibility can be really great with this gig. The only thing you have to pay attention to is time zones, because you might end up teaching at 6 a.m. or 10 a.m., depending on your schedule and wherever your student is. But it's one of my favorite side gigs because it doesn't require you selling your stuff or your body or your time. I mean, it is your time, but you're literally just showing up with what you know and helping someone else grow,
Correct.
which is a win.
Yeah, I mean, you're helping someone, right? And it could be that they are preparing for an interview, or they are trying to do better in school, or whatever it is. They're just trying to better assimilate into the country, or they're an athlete and they need help, kind of engaging with their coach and or their teammates. Like, there are tons of reasons why some people just need help talking and practicing their English in less awkward environments.
All right. Next one is waiting in line. Like getting paid to physically wait in line for people who don't have the time or the interest in doing it themselves. This could be for a product launch, like the iPhone launch, or concert tickets.
Sneakerheads.
Yeah, this could be for Cronuts in New York City or Broadway play, whatever. It caters to markets who are heavy on convenience and time saving. So I don't know that this would fly in like Boise, where people may not have anything to do but wait in line. But it may be a great thing for Austin.
Super disrespectful.
I know. Sorry, Boise. I be picking on y'all. I know. It's just the first city that comes to mind.
Ain't nothing happening in Boise. So they love waiting in line for free.
My point is, like, cities like Austin, where they have these barbecue restaurants where the line forms at 5 o'clock and the food is
the
gone
day before
by 11.
They camp out.
And you just want some brisket, but you're not trying to get up at 5 a.m. Like, you can pay somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen videos where a lot of Chinese immigrants go and do that, right? Like, they just pay someone to camp out. They come and then they go about their tourist business, and then they show up right around the time where they want to eat. That person is there. They get in line. They get their food. They enjoy their Texas barbecue brisket experience, and they run with it. So how do you do this? You can do it via TaskRabbit. You can do all kinds of things with TaskRabbit. Just put all kinds of services out there.
I'm the type of person who will hire a miscellaneous tasker to take care of some stuff.
A line waiter is one of several things that you can do on TaskRabbit. There's also Spot Blaze, which is another ad. But like everything else, you can also just kind of do it yourself. Local advertising, word of mouth, community notice boards. I think this is one of those things where if you can get in with like the receptionist or the person who is always dealing with people who are frustrated about the line, and you say, just give them this card and say, you know what, call Julian. Like, he will gladly wait in line, but you want to do it fast because he might be in line right now. You know what I mean? But like, it's a great way to just make a little bit of money, especially if like you're not doing anything else and you don't mind like just kind of standing and being there and talking to people. Like, if you can have those people, the right people, promote you, I think it's a business that kind of like unlocks business, side hustle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's a great little way to make some extra money.
Pay is going to depend on the duration, how long they got to stand in line, and the demand, how many other people want them to stand in line. But it can be anywhere from $20 to upwards of $100 or more if you have to stay there overnight or for longer, for like highly sought after situations. But there are people who are well suited for this. If you're the kind of person who always has a chair and a water bottle and a snack with you, because you're prepared to wait, you're extremely patient, and you don't mind talking to people in line. You don't mind sitting out there. You can bring a good book and some music. This is a great little hustle. Earn you a couple extra dollars.
I'll also say this. If you're an hourly wage worker and you've got a job that's paying you less than what it might be, this is a great way to kind of make up for any days or shifts that you just don't want to take. Right. So if it's optional for you and you got to decide whether or not you want to go to a job that you don't particularly enjoy, or go wait in line for 2 hours for somebody who wants to buy Kendrick and SZA tickets, then why not just go wait in line and have fun and maybe even like meet some cool people while you're at it. Right. Like it's an alternative. And I think it's something that a lot of people of all ages and backgrounds, I think, should be looking at.
All right. Next up, pressure washing. Yeah. And I like this one because people who have specialized equipment, whether you're talking about a pressure washer or a leaf blower, those are always little opportunities to make some extra cash. So if you have a pressure washer or can get access to one, cleaning people's driveways, patios, building exteriors, using that to just get the dirt and grime off of it can be very lucrative for you. It requires some upfront equipment, but It's a fairly quick service to provide.
Yeah, it is. It is. Our community is pretty much like one person came in and did exactly what we're recommending, and they did a good job. And then it was like, hey, you wanted to send a note out to everybody, and we'll come back and bang out everybody that
And
same
we got
day.
a discount.
And we all get a discount. It's like, great. But yeah, last year, I think I did it for the first time myself. And I enjoyed it about halfway through. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I see why people pay for this. Because at first it was like really kind of cool. And I was like, wow, this is really kind of like stress relief. But then like that sun started hitting me and I was like, you know what? Definitely paying for this going forward. Definitely paying for it.
And it don't even have to be, you know, driveways and patios. It can just be trash cans. There's a teen in our neighborhood, not in our exact neighborhood, but in our area who has a summer business rinsing people's bins out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can sign up online. He'll come to you.
Okay. Well, see, there it is. Viable business opportunities. All right. Next one. One is a little bit more complicated, but I think widely overlooked, and it's being part of research studies. I think a lot of people think about being a part of like focus groups, which we didn't really talk about. This is similar because like focus groups are a form of research that just tends to be more like for a marketing product, but like research studies tends to be something that's like dealing with science or medicine or some type of psychological kind of study. The payment for being a part of a research study can range like anywhere from $50 for like a short survey to several hundred, or in some cases even thousands of dollars for more long-term involved studies. So if you ever watched like some really compelling documentary or the news and they start quoting all of these different things that was paid for by the XYZ Foundation, like this is kind of where these things fall in. Like before people just go out there and start spewing facts about the current state of something, they need to conduct research. And in order to do that, they need to hire people or contract people in order to get the kind of results that they're looking for. And then they crunch all that data and share it with the world.
I would say this is really important, especially for women. There was a website, I think it's still alive right now, clinicaltrials.gov, which was a database that was managed by the U.S. National Institutes of Health, and that would list publicly and privately supported clinical studies that are conducted in the United States. So you could search it by your area or your condition or keywords. But we know for a fact that medical research for women is wildly, vastly, severely behind the times, which is why it's so hard for us to get the kind of care that we need. When people sign up for clinical trials or when clinical trials get funded, we also see breakthroughs in the kind of support that women deserve. I just read about a clinical trial that's about to happen for athletes that's going to look at the correlation between ACL injuries and our menstrual cycles. And that's so important because if you can tell a trainer or a coach how to train, support, stretch, warm up a woman based on where she is in her cycle, that changes the amount of injuries we get. They discovered that women get like 6 to 7 times more ACL injuries than men. And it's because likely there's something linked to our cycles that makes it more vulnerable. And so clinical trials like that, whether you're talking about for sleep or for blood or for previous conditions, for genetic conditions, all help our healthcare system just be better.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I never thought about that.
All right, last two are for those who have a Hollywood bone in their body or want to perform. And this is working on film or television sets, either as an extra, as we used to call them, or a background actor, or just someone who's there supporting the staff in other ways, whether that's crew cleanup, or I forget what they call the people who bring in the meals. But like, there's all sorts of ways that you can get involved on film and television sets. The pay is going to vary by location or union status, but background actors often earn $100 to $200 a day, and stand-ins can earn a little more. I think that's the same as like a stunt double.
It's also such a great, no, it's not the same as a stunt double.
I mean, not doing stunts, but you know what I mean.
A stand-in, an extra is the people who are in the restaurant while your favorite actor is on stage, right? Look, we know a guy.
No, a stand-in is someone who stands in for the actor during lighting and scene setups. So instead of calling Tom Cruise from his trailer.
All right, let's get you right? It's somebody who sort of has the same kind of look and, you know, style, whatever. And then they use that person as the stand-in or sit-in to get the lighting right, to test, you know, whatever things that they need to test so that they're not wasting the star's time, the A-listers' time. An extra or a background actor is what I was referring to. Case in point, I think my old mentee, you remember the guy that used to work at the Publix? Yeah, he was in Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
I remember when he told me that, and I was like, "You ain't
we had to watch that scene 100 times." Like, oh,
sure
there
enough,
he is.
I was like, "There he is." I was like, "That's the dude that worked at Publix. He's right there. He from Wakanda."
Yeah.
It was amazing. But like, yeah, he got paid for it. And I was like, that's really, really cool.
It's
like,
a long day, but
I would imagine it is a long day. But I mean, it's also a really cool experience to be able to say I was actually in Wakanda Forever, or I was in this movie. If you look in the back, or maybe they're even listed.
I'm teacher number 4
in the credits or something like that.
I walked through the hallway of Abbott Elementary.
That's just really, really cool. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not unusual. You know, we basically did a quick search because I know that the Hollywood and film industry has really kind of bloomed here in Atlanta. And I did a quick search, and there were like 5 casting agencies. Like, it was not hard to find it all. So yeah, like, you can be an extra. And again, like this, like, if you're not doing nothing, you know, like, why not? Just do it. It's better than sitting around. I hate to sound like that one commercial. You're sitting around at the house, you're not doing anything. So like, you can probably make $1,000 between 2 or 3 of these things a week, and you'll have some really interesting stories to tell, right? $200 waiting in line for somebody.
And I got to meet Regina King or whoever else was on the set.
Exactly. That to me is better than taking on the stress of having a second job. Like, I would much rather stitch together some odd combination of those things based on demand and or whatever I just feel like as a way to make a little extra money than to take on a job that I absolutely despise and has me out of my way. I'll add a bonus one in here. And this is only because we just were guests on the Catching Up to 5 podcast. And I was reminded, and I've heard this before because people have made comments about my voice. And of course, my voice just sounds like my voice. Like, I don't know what people hear or what they're talking about. But he was like, oh man, you're that voice, you should totally be, you know, a voiceover actor or something. And I've thought, every time I think about it, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. If for no other reason, because I just want to have the story to tell. Like, did you know that I was the voice of the, you know, the Arby's commercial? You know, I don't know. But to me, it's just my voice. Literally, I could literally get paid to do it. And I remember going on LinkedIn. I mean, I'll take it seriously for about 2 minutes. And then I was like, I'm not going through all this stuff. Like, just the process of, you know, if somebody finds me,
you want to be discovered.
If I'm discovered and then somebody says, hey man, I think your voice is like just chef's kiss, then sure, I'll do it. But like, I don't know that I really want to go through that process. But there are jobs available, like whether it's so many for that, whether it's commercials or it's like AI training or something like that. It is, it's a great way to make money.
It is. It really is. And it doesn't always have to be like true voice acting where you're reading from a script.
Right.
Sometimes it's people that want you to record a podcast intro. Sometimes it's commercial background. Sometimes it's reading an ebook for an author who is not comfortable with their own voice or doesn't have the equipment. It could be a number of things. I have a little cousin who has the perfect voice for something. Like, it's a unique.
You told me about that.
Yeah. Like, for people who feel weird about their voice, you'd be surprised on how it sounds or how it adds life to a different medium.
Yeah, you could pull a Cree Summer and have an entire larger second career. Like, no disrespect to her acting career because she's still an actress, but
but like her voice career was way bigger.
Is, from what I understand, way bigger than her actual like true or act. I mean, she's still acting. She's just like a voice actor. But
yeah. All right.
Well, look, was at 10, 11.
We could have kept going. As we were going, I was like, we forgot about house sitting. We forgot about.
I think it's about widening the possibilities. It's not just about get another job or start a side hustle or business. Like, you can get
do you need money or do you need a business?
Right. You may not need a business, but there are tons of ways that you can still make some money. And again, so many people that just default to a job and how much that job pays. And it's like, dude, you can walk a dog, make a specimen donation,
a personal contribution,
remove some junk,
and
make $500 this month without batting an eye. Like, just 3 little days, you know, and probably 8 hours total.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. Mm-hmm. Give a little plasma. Problem solved. Like, even if you're just thinking about going on vacation, how am I going to pay for this vacation? And people stressing out. And it's like, dude, there are lots of ways that you can do it. You just have to be a little bit more creative than what you are likely thinking of. And that's what I really wanted to help people unlock. So whether it's like getting out of debt, investing, whatever it is, it could just be, I need a vacation. Summer's coming up.
No, that's real.
And I really just like, I'm trying to get creative and I don't want to take on more jobs and I don't want to have to go back to such and such. Honestly, I'm going to do this for the next 2 months and that's going to take me to Cancun in June.
Or that's going to replenish my emergency fund, or that's what's going to get me out of that stat of Americans who can't afford a $500 unexpected expense.
That's it.
You ain't got to do none of this stuff forever. You ain't got to tell nobody. You don't have to post about it.
You sure don't.
Try it, see how it works, and know that you have that in your arsenal. Like, all we want is for people to have more tools in the toolkit about how to earn income besides getting a job.
I love it.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of the Rich and Regular podcast. If you like what you heard and you're okay doing a little free job, then go on over to your favorite podcast platform, rating and review, and leave us 5 stars, please, or drop a comment below to keep the conversation going. We will see y'all next week. If you like videos like this and want to see more, make sure you click subscribe and turn on notifications.